Today I've come to the heart of mid Wales to bring my Canon R7 in search of an abandoned house. And on the way, it's time for a bit of a story about where I've been, why I've been gone, and what the plan is going forward. Let me show you what I mean. Today we are on the hunt for an abandoned house. Now, I have been to this house before. I'm seeing it in sort of a figurative new light because recently I've become intrigued by abandoned buildings, the sort of the stories behind them, and bring my camera along with me to see if I can document it. So if you're new to the channel, you'd rightly assume that I am a photography channel. All my videos so far have been about photography, but in recent months I found that practically impossible to do. For various reasons. I've had a very busy time of life at the moment. I've had my second child born, so being a serial father has cut me back on my time a little bit. That has coincided with just terrible conditions when I had time to go and do photography. It got to the point where I just wasn't going out to do photography because either I didn't have the time or I didn't have the conditions. And no matter what anybody tells you, although you can go and do photography in any conditions, there does come a point where you just get fed up of going out in grey flat light. To be honest, I didn't have any desire to go out and photograph in that. So as a result, I just didn't do photography. And I haven't done it properly in probably 3 or 4 months now, which is since the longest time I've gone without doing photography since I started years ago. But in that time, I've had a lot of time to think about what I'm going to do with my photography going forward, and specifically what I'm going to do with this channel. Because it's become quite clear that this can't continue to be a channel about photography. So the story behind this abandoned house is sort of a mystery. I don't know of anybody that knows who built it or why it's here. There's no easy access to it, no roads to it or anything. It's just in the middle of nowhere along a river. And to be able to build this in the middle of nowhere, just about of the stone that's just around about, is pretty incredible, really. It must have been somebody that was absolutely determined to build this place, to have it here where it is. And now it just stands wrecked. So I recently started putting more effort into the blog that's on my website recently. I wrote on there about the burnout that I suffered this year. Now, I never believed that burnout was a thing. I go on to explain that in the blog, so I won't talk about that on here because I explained it all there. If you want to see that, then go on my website. But essentially, I burnt myself out without believing that you could, and I've had to develop a plan so that I can overcome that, if you know what I mean. I am the other side of that burnout now, but I have to enact things differently to make sure that it doesn't happen again, because if you burn yourself out, then it's much worse than just working at a consistent pace. I think that's what a lot of people are lacking in their life, is a consistent pace. I do a lot of stop, start sprinting. That eventually leads to, inevitably, is complete and absolute burnout. Part of the thing I talked about in that blog was that I've only burned out because I've had such nice things in my life, things worth burning out for. I have a great family, I have a business, I have this YouTube channel, things that I want in my life. But yes, if you overdo it, then you will burn out, no matter how strong you think you might be. And that's what happened to me, and hence why I haven't uploaded in a long time. But I am back, and I'm with a plan to make it so that I can consistently work on this channel and provide things for you without burning myself out again in a few months' time. So you can see it over my shoulder. The reason I'm being quiet is I think there's somebody in there. It's had some work done to it since I was last here. There's a ladder up the side, a self-built ladder, plastic over the roof, a chimney sticking out of it now. I can see motorbike tracks going to it. I think somebody's doing it up, but it might just be a squatter, I don't know. But I'm being discreet because it could be that somebody's in there and I don't want to intrude on them. It could be that they own the house, I don't know. But very interesting. I've come here to see this abandoned house, and somebody is putting some work in to make it better. That makes me really happy that this just hasn't been left to rot. Somebody's putting some work in. That reminds me of something. What that house reminds me of is my channel, basically. Somebody put loads of work into building that house here, to have it in a location that served a purpose. And it probably served them well for a long time, but eventually when it stopped serving its purpose, they gave up on it. They let it go to nature and just start falling apart. And if I'm honest, that's what I've let happen to my channel. It served a great purpose when I started it. It helped me get out and do photography, it helped me get some of my best photos, but it got to the point where it was no longer serving its purpose. It wasn't getting me out doing photography, it was just becoming a stress. And I don't want you thinking that I've got a bad attitude about this. I was incredibly privileged to have such a great photography channel. It was a very small following, but it was a loyal following, and it served a great purpose. Now I'm faced with a choice. I can either let my channel go to nature, just let it die, let it sort of rot away, like that house had been. Or I could do what somebody's clearly trying to do with that place, and rebuild it to serve a new purpose. And that is the plan. I'm not going to let this channel die. I'm just going to repurpose it. Photography is still going to be central to my channel, but I'm going to do photography about my channel rather than doing a channel about photography. I don't know if you've noticed, but a lot of people in the photography niche on YouTube are either changing or leaving completely. Nigel Danson's barely uploading anymore. Thomas Heaton is more of a travel channel than a photography channel. He still does photography on his trips, but let's be honest, a lot of them are about travelling now, which are still great to watch. But photography's sort of gone to the side a bit. Lots of the other channels have either given up or are changing. And while I am a small channel, I'm feeling that pressure too, because doing videos about photography, there's no reason to anymore. It has served its purpose. We don't need any more videos about sharpness or about the settings that you use or anything like that. I'm going to shift my focus more towards storytelling. There's lots of different directions people can go. Some people have gone to become camera reviewers and that sort of thing. I don't want to go down that route. I've always loved telling stories, and a lot of people have told me I'm quite good at telling stories. I don't know if I am. That's something I think I need to improve on. But that's the route I want to go down, and I want to use photography as a tool to do that from now on. I don't want to be a channel about photography. I want to be a photography channel about stories. So that's my goal for 2025, is to steer my channel in that direction. And you may not care. I know a lot of people won't. Some of you might be disappointed that I'm not going to do it about photography anymore, but that's just what I need to do in order to keep my house built. I'll see you next time.